Hey everyone, welcome back to the Whiskey Cove. And on today's episode, we're diving into whiskeys and bourbons to hunt for in the month of August. 6 standout bottles that you should keep your eye open for. Run that video. All right then folks, welcome back to the Whiskey Cove. What a great video that we have in store for you folks at home. This is a video that has been the bedrock of the Whiskey Cove and the channel that we've had here for over 2 years, 3 years now almost. And that is the whiskeys and bourbons to look out for and hunt for in the forthcoming month. And that month is August. I don't know why, but sometimes when I do these videos, the time just moves so fast because we're talking about August already. And I feel like I just did this in December, just like a couple of months ago. However, it is whiskeys to look out for the month of August. We're doing 10,000 subscriber giveaway. We are so close to hitting 10,000. It's a subscriber only event. All the information is on the screen right now. And we'll also post it at the end of the video. So after this video, go down and sign up for it. Again, it is a subscriber only raffle. So first up, and that is Michter's Bomberger's Declaration 2025 release from the Michter's Distillery. This one clocks in at 108 proof or 54% ABV. Michter's keep their mash bill under wraps, but we do know that it includes malted rye, and it's partially aged in Chinquapin oak barrels that are air dried between 18 months and 5 years. So it kind of varies between the barrels. What is the MSRP going to be for this? So you're looking to pay around $120. I feel that at the distillery, it's always a little more than that. You might be paying 130, 140 on the Whiskey Road there in Louisville. And then oftentimes they also pair it with different bottles. But around the country, maybe in state-controlled liquor stores, you should be able to find it for 120. Colorado usually sets 130 to $140, but ultimately it could vary to 150 to $200 depending on where you are. And it's a limited release as well, and part of the Michter's Legacy series, known for rich oak and bold flavors. It has a lot of really nice oily mouthfeel to previous Michter's that I've tried. I've tried the 23 and the 24 Michter's Bomberger's. Very good whiskeys and ones that I really like, especially the 2023 batch. I thought was some of the best whiskey that I've ever had. It was rich oak, bold, chewy, spicy, but also easy to drink. And it's an annual release that I like to look out for, or at least I have since about 2022, and one that I'll continue to look out for. I just don't like to see that price continue to skyrocket, but it looks like it hasn't really gone up since last year, but obviously it depends on where you are and what that price will look like for you. Next up, and we have Hootin Young Bottled in Bond Bourbon. This one was founded by veterans, and this bottle kind of really shows in the craftsmanship and how it came together. You've got a mash bill of 70% corn, 21% rye, and 9% distiller's malt. And as this is bottled in bond, it's going to be 50% ABV or 100 proof and aged for at least 4 years. It wasn't age stated, but it is aged for at least 4 years, as it has to be for bottled in bond. Meets all the other bottled in bond requirements too. Flavor profiles are going to be pepper, caramel, toffee, with a bunch load of oak too. So as a 4-year bottled in bond bourbon, if you can get a good amount of oak on it, I think that's a really good plus, because for 4 year, at least aged 4 years, you generally don't get as much oak on it. So if it's telling us that we have a good amount of oak on it, that's something definitely to look forward to. And maybe it's some of the best value out there right now, because it's coming in at a whopping price tag of $39.99. So it's really coming in to compete. I think we've just seen some bottled in bonds on the market get released. I think the Old Fit 7, and that wasn't $39.99. Yes, that was 7-year age stated, but it certainly wasn't $40, albeit the secondary market has taken that off a little bit crazy. But if we're thinking the Heaven Hill 7, that's right around $40 to $50. Maybe you can find it at a Costco for $40. But in most liquor stores, it's probably going to cost you around $50. So I do think this Hootin Young Bottled in Bond Bourbon is priced really aggressively. And I think that I always like to try Bottled in Bond Bourbon. So I feel like if I see this for $40, I'm going to buy it. But again, these are bottles that I haven't tasted, so I can't personally recommend them to you, but this is just kind of my thinking process of if I'm going to get it or not. Moving on is Old Granddad 7-year bottled in Bond. This high rye bourbon, around 27% rye in the mash bill. The full mash bill wasn't disclosed, but we're led to believe it's around 27% rye, is distilled by the folks over at Jim Beam. So this is going to be distilled in 2018. This bottle is a full 7 years old. So it's going to be 3 years older than the minimum requirement to meet bottled in bond standard. It is going to be 50% ABV or 100 proof. And also, much like the Hootin Young, is going to be priced $39.99. So we're seeing that some of these older legacy distillers are able to get a few more years and price it as aggressively as maybe at least a 4-year-old bottled in bond. I'm a big fan of Old Granddad here on the channel. I have every single bottle, the 80 proof, the bottled, the bonded, and the 114 and the 16 year up here on the shelf. So how is this different from the bonded? Well, it's probably going to be somewhat similar. I don't know what the age statement is on the bonded because there isn't one. So it's just a blend of different probably age statements there. But this one is coming out as a specific 7-year age statement. So even though it's a little bit of a limited release, it's probably definitely a little bit of a sleeper pick, because for $40, I'm hoping to see this settle on shelves much like the Old Granddads of yesteryear, excluding the 16 year, because that was like $210 and it kind of sat on shelves for a while. But for $40, I think this is priced well for a limited release. But are we just getting Old Granddad bonded, which is like 20 bucks, and just being relabeled to 7 years? I think we're gonna have to do a side-by-side taste of these and really see if there is really a bit of a difference. Are we paying double the price just because that number 7 is on it? That will be wait and see. But much like the Hootin Young for 40 bucks, I think I'm definitely gonna pick up this bottle. As an Old Granddad fan, yeah, this is something that I'm gonna go out and actively hunt for. That was Old Granddad 7-year bottled in bond. Number 4, and that is the Russell's Reserve 13-year-old annual release Bourbon. With this bottle, it brings the heat. It's going to be bottled at 61.9% ABV, 123.8 proof. So you're going to obviously get that classic wild turkey mash bill, which is 75% corn, 13% rye, and then 12% malted barley. And of course, as the namesake would suggest, it's going to be aged for at least 13 years in the historic Rip houses over in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky, and it's going to be non-chill filtered too. So probably like most of the older releases from 2024 and 3, you're going to expect layers of vanilla, caramel, cherry, deep oak, spice, and that classic turkey funk. What is different between this year's and last year's and the year before? So we kind of have, what do we have, like 3 years of offering so far, maybe 4. I can't remember if they did it 2022. I think it started in 23, truth be told, or they did multiple releases over the last few years. However, this one is different because the first ever release of the 13 that they did was $90, and then I think the second one was $130, then it was $150. So the difference is this is going to be $200. Yes, $200. So in the course of 2 years or so, this is doubled in price and then some. So for $200, I don't think I'm gonna get this one. Right as I'm filming this, they're releasing it online. And I took a little look online and there was a couple of bottles available if I wanted to get them. I think it was 1 per person. And I passed on it. I think $200 is a little bit too much for this bottle. If it was going back to maybe the first release of the Russell's Reserve 13, maybe I could make a case because that was pretty darn good. Was it as good as maybe the Camp Nelsons of the 15? No, it wasn't, but it was still better than any of the subsequent releases after that. So I wouldn't pay $200 for this one, but you know, there are folks out there who would like to pay $200. So if that's in your price tag, absolutely pay what you're willing to pay. As you can see, you know, I paid $300 for that Russell's Reserve 15. And I don't regret it whatsoever. That's a fantastic bottle of whiskey, but I will not pay $200 for the more recent stuff of 13. Now watch my luck. What will happen is that people will get their bottles and they will say that this is the best thing since sliced bread, and that will create a little bit of demand. But I have to be comfortable within my budget and within my price tag. That is Russell's Reserve 13, and that is the most recent kind of summer spring release for 2025. Bottle number 5 is going to be Sazzarak Rye, 50% ABV or 100 proof. So yes, they already do a Sazzarak Rye. So what is different about this one? So what is different is this is going to be a 50% ABV or 100 proof. So classic Sazzarak Rye is 45% ABV or 90 proof. So we're getting a little bump up in ABV. I feel like this is something that we've talked about here many times on the Whiskey Cove, is that the only problem with the classic Sazzarak Rye from Buffalo Trace, from Sazerac I should say, is that the ABV is just not 100 proof, which is what it definitely should be. So I don't think this is definitely going to be an upgrade, but this shouldn't have been the upgrade. This should have been the core staple. So the press release around this 100 proofer was that they wanted to give bartenders something that they could actively use in cocktails, because I assume that bartenders like to reach for 50% ABV or 100 proof ryes when they're making cocktails. As would I. I think that's the gold standard when you're making cocktails. So maybe that they thought that, okay, we're kind of missing the market a little bit on this one. Mash bill on this is kind of Buffalo Trace's Sazerac, so we don't know what that is. It's going to be the low rye Kentucky rye mash bill, so it's going to be more of a bourbon drinker's rye. You're going to have more like vanilla and oaky notes as well. Like I said, the only difference is that it's dialed up to 100 proof. You're probably still going to get that punchy clove, citrus, pepper, anise that you would normally get as well. I'm definitely going to look for a bottle. I think it's going to be great in cocktails, especially the Sazerac cocktail, right? But it's probably going to be hopefully bold enough to sip as well with the extra ABV and proof. I don't feel like it's going to be too thin on the palate, but again, we haven't tried it yet. These are just kind of me looking into the future here. And the best part is $30 for a litre. So what is the regular classic Sazerac? That's about true MSRP is probably like $22 for 750 ml. So this isn't too crazy. I think this falls right in line with that pricing structure. What are you gonna see it of for priced up in the street, so to speak, in the stores? Probably more closer to 40. If you can find it for 30, definitely buy it. I think stores wanna be careful that they're not putting it in the wrong spots around the stores. So for 30 bucks, I think that's an absolute steal and a bottle that I'm going to add to the list of bottles this month that I'll be getting. So that's the third one that I'll definitely be getting. And finally, for the last bottle, is going to be the Shanks Homestead Kentucky Sour Mash Whiskey, the 2025 release. This is a rye-forward whiskey with malted rye and caramel malt in the grain bill. Much like the Bourbons from earlier on, we don't quite know what the mash bill is, because a lot of these distillers like to keep their cards quite close to the chest. But what we do know is that it's aged in a mix of new American oak and toasted French oak barrels from the Vosges forest in France. So much like the Chicopin barrels that is funky going on with Bourbons, Shanks also has its own unique kind of barrel aged. What result is this barrel? Apparently it's rich, herbaceous, with a spicy profile, with creamy texture too. Proofed and ABV is going to be 45.6% ABV or 91.2 proof. That's the classic ABV and proof that Shanks is, and it's going to be priced around $110. So a little cheaper than the Bourbons, and that generally is what it's like. $110 is going to be the true MSRP. Again, probably expect to see it priced up a little bit more than that. It's released in right at the back end of July, but we'll probably see it in August. And I really think that the Bourbons for me personally has always been the one that I've always preferred. I know some folks have commented on some of the videos that we've done around Shanks and Bourbons that Shanks have been your favorite. So that's awesome. You know, drink what you like, right? But for me, I've always preferred the Bourbons, so I will take a miss on the Shanks. I just feel if they could bump up that proof a little bit to, again, that 50% ABV or the 100 proof, I think they would get a lot more fans from it. It just drinks a little thinner, just a little thinner for me. So we need a little bit more ABV on that Shanks. But you know, for you fans out there, $110 is what you're going to be looking at paying for it, and you should start hunting for it right as this video is dropping. So there you have it, folks. 6 standout whiskeys for August that cover really the full spectrum, from budget bottled and bond gems to a high proof collector's item like the Russell's Reserve 13. Let me know in the comments what bottles that you're going to be hunting for, and as always, don't forget to go and check out the subscriber only raffle. As we hit 10,000 subscribers, we will knock out this amazing live stream, guys. It is going to be so good. I am so excited for it. We're going to get some awesome whiskey in some really great people's hands. I'm very excited. All the details are down below as we drink through the world's whiskeys one glass at a time. Cheers. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe too. Thanks.